And this stop brings us back to the heritage city of Vigan. Get ready for more sights, more sounds, and more volleyball. From its timeless charm to its passionate fans, Vigan never disappoints. We're back and we're ready to put on a show. This is the PVL On Tour 2026 Showdown. Viva Vigan!
What a welcome that was in the beautiful city of Vigan in Ilocos Sur as we are ready for another day of your Premier Volleyball League on tour. And on your screens, Det Pepito ready to make her debut in the PVL as she goes up against Myla Pablo and the NXLED Chameleons, who will take on the Capital1 Solar Spikers. As we take a look at the matchups for today, it'll be NXLED versus Capital1 right now at 4 p.m. for the first of this doubleheader, as we see the players who will see action today. And later on, we have another offer for you. We have PLDT going up against Chocomucho tonight. A good day to all our viewers over on One Sports, on One Sports Plus, on the Pilipinas Live app, as well as on One Sports on YouTube. Dip Bianco. So happy to be with my partner Neil Flores to cover this volleyball afternoon. Good afternoon, Neil.
Good afternoon, Dip. I'm just so happy to be back on the panel, and I know that the fans are very excited to watch the rookies showcase their talent.
Yeah, as we take a look at the previous results, we had Ilagan Ignition first off to start the on tour, wherein NXLED lost their first game against Creamline, and then we transferred to Batangas for a couple more matches. And today, we will see Capital1 get their first game going in our PVL on tour. As you see, Cherry Nunag, middle blocker matchup against MJ Phillips. But first, we talk about the Chameleons, who already saw action. They lost their first game in 4 sets, but there are some bright spots that we'll be talking about, especially this one right here. The player to look out for, Jel Cayuna, in her new team, new uniform. We're getting used to it, but same excellent quality for Jel Cayuna.
Yeah, she's still adjusting definitely to the new system of the NXLED Chameleons, but the numbers will speak for itself. 22 excellent sets in that game against the Cool Smashers. Not surprising because we know what she can bring to the table. So I guess with more time with her team, she can really bring out the best in her attackers.
Yeah, kapaan pa with her new attackers, new wingers in this squad. But a player that has been getting used to this system is Jonas Sabet Escamillan. Her numbers against Creamline, we know that they are short-handed. No Brooke Van Sickle nursing an injury, but she had to step up, and those were her numbers.
It was an all-around performance for Jonas Abet Escamillan. As you mentioned, somebody really needs to step up because unlaking absence ng isang Brooke Van Sickle when it comes to scoring. So she will be at the forefront of their offense, but she will also get a lot of support.
Lipat tayo sa kabila, yung mga sasalo ng palo niya. We have Det Pepito, second overall pick in this year's PVL draft out of UST. Well, I know a lot of people are looking forward to her first game. What are your expectations, Neil?
Well, aside from the impeccable defense, yung leadership din na nakatulong sa UST to go to that Final Four. Hindi lang siya mag-isa because Kai Cepada will also be helping her. She was the 9th overall pick, and we know that she has all the firepower na pwedeng makatulong sa Capital1. So it is going to be exciting to see these two rookies play in our on tour.
Yeah, 2 rookies for Capital1, which will also need to step up dahil a number of their players are doing their duties with the Alas Pilipinas women. And later on, we'll also be joined by Jana Ejido on side of the court there for her reports. And we'll take a short break. We'll be back for more here in the PVL on tour.
Hey PVL fans, you're still tuned in to PVL on Tour 2026 as we make our stop right here in the heritage city of Vigan. But before we see the NXLED Chameleons and the Capital1 Solar Spikers in action, why don't we have a chat with some of our players? Because this afternoon I have with me Brooke Van Sickle of the NXLED Chameleons. Well, Brooke, you have Ilocana blood. What's it been like for you and the team to be here in Vigan today?
Yeah, it's always a pleasure for us to be able to come here to Ilocos, always, and be able to see, my family, get to know my family's background and culture a little bit more. So for me, it's a blessing, and we're always super grateful to be able to play out here for the fans and everybody. So yeah, it's awesome being here.
Well, we also know that the NXLED roster right now is filled with veterans and new faces alike. I want to know, what does growth look like for NXLED Chameleons here on PVL on Tour?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple changes, some new additions that are very important for our team, and I think that everyone's just gelling really well together, and I'm really excited to see how this team continues to grow and adapt to changes, and yeah, just be able to seize every moment, every point, every game that we have possible. So I'm excited for this matchup. Today is going to be really good, and yeah, just excited.
Well, I'm excited too, Brooke. Thank you very much. We'll let you go, the team, and enjoy the rest of the match. And of course, while the NXLED Chameleons were warming up, I actually got to speak with their draft pick, who's fresh here from her first game as a rookie, which is Ira Haboneta, who tells me just how exciting her PVL has been as a rookie. With her first game not too long ago against Creamline, Ira says she's learning to adjust, picking up notes from helpful teammates and coaches, especially as a libero. While she's played that position before in college, she says it's not her natural one, and she's viewing these games as an opportunity to improve as a pro. She reminds herself that being a pro was just a dream before, and now it's here. Ira shares she's also glad to be in Vigan, having toured Calle Crisologo one evening with her teammates, saying that the last time she was here was during her palaro days in high school. Well, I guess we could learn more about the Vigan gimmicks of the NXLED Chameleons from her teammate, Lian de Guzman.
Super na-enjoy ko ngayong Vigan na trip namin. Yung lumabas kami kagabi sa Calle Crisologo kasama yung mga teammates ko. Like night time, so ikot lang kami doon. Tapos may mga stores talaga doon na ngayon lang ulit ako nakapunta. Kasi yung last punta ko dito parang 2018 pa. Impact ng PVL on Tour na to na makapunta sa mga ibang province. Siguro ito yung way din na mabigay namin yung thank you din sa mga fans na nanonood sa amin. And grabe din yung support nila kahit sa TV lang nakikita natin yan. And ito yung way na ma-give back din namin sila. Katulad ng mga meet and greet, ganyan. Sa mga bigay nyo, thank you so much po sa support nyo. And sana pagtuloy nyo pa rin kami supportan sa mga susunod na games namin. And hope to see you guys again soon.
Wonderful insights right there from Lian de Guzman. I guess it looks like NXLED's having such a fun time here in the heritage city in Ilocos, but why don't we switch things up? Because right now I have with me a solar spiker, and that's Cherry Nunag. Well, Cherry, it's such a fresh sight to see Capital1 in action again. Kumusta yung naging preparation for PVL on Tour?
Yung preparation namin ngayon, kasi mas maraming bago sa amin ngayon. So, more on adjustment lang sa team kung paano sila mas makaka-catch up sa amin, kung paano mas mag-gel yung gym namin. Kasi bago lang din yung team namin. So, marami din kaming bago. So, more on gel yun. And I think nakakatulong yung sistema din ng on-tour para mas mag-gel pa yung team namin.
And of course, yun nga, banggit mo, you welcomed a lot of new faces to the team, especially during the off-season. Paano yung magiging growth ng Capital1 with the help of PVL on Tour?
Dahil nga yung on-tour natin, mas magkakasama kami, mas nakikilala namin yung isa't isa on and off the court. And marami din kami natututunan sa bawat isa sa kanila bilang pinakamatanda din sa team namin. So, mas binubuo namin kung paano yung magiging nature ng buong team and kung paano i-adjust yung mga sistema. And I think nag-grow yung bawat isa. Nakikita ko yung bawat adjustment and bawat pagbabago everyday. Yung growth na nagagawa namin everyday, yung mga bagay na hindi pa namin nakuha. Tapos ngayon, mas nakukuha na namin siya. So, very thankful sa on tour and sana mag-enjoy lahat ng mga pumunta dito ngayon sa Ilocos.
Syempre naman, and of course, thank you very much, Cherry. We can't wait to see you on the court later onwards. Well, as Capital One is raring to face the Chameleons here in their first outing in PVL on tour, they will be without Bella Belen, Vanny Gandler, and Erica Santos. But according to team captain Pauline Gaston, the team has been preparing well. As she tells me, the team is ready and the players are true professionals, very responsible heading into the tournament. Pauline adds she's energized and has such high hopes being on tour because she observes just how excited her teammates are. Besides their bond off the court, she says it's all gonna be about maturity at the end of the day. Well, Pauline herself has loads to share, so why don't we hear this perspective from the team captain?
The best part about vegan is getting to see the heritage, of course. It was really fun to meet the fans. It takes us out of our comfort zone and it brings us closer to our why we're here, why we're doing this, because of course we wouldn't be where we are if it weren't for the supporters and all the love and the people who love volleyball as much as we do. They have no idea how much it helps us grow closer also as a team because it forces us to spend quality time together, which we don't really get to do in Manila. Na-inspire kami lalo na pag nakikilala namin yung mga nagsusupport sa amin galing sa malayong lugar sa Pilipinas. Hello po to all the PVL fans. We just want to say thank you so much for supporting the Capital1 Solar Spikers and supporting the whole PVL. We hope to see you guys more in the games and we hope support nyo kami palagi sa mga on-tour games namin. See you guys!
Well, there's truly lots to love about being in vegan today besides the food, the culture, and of course, the ecstatic fans that we have here this afternoon. But of course, for our fans that are watching on the Pilipinas Live app, we have a question that we want to ask you, which is running right below your stream. We are asking which player will seize the spotlight in vegan. Will it be NXLED's Ira Haboneta or Capital One's Kai Cepada? Feel free to take your pick. All right, the first serve coming right up when we return.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome inside the Chavit Coliseum in Vigan City, Ilocos Sur, as the 2026 PVL on tour continues. This is match number 7 of the tournament, the matchup between the NXLED Chameleons and their opponents, the Capital1 Solar Spikers. Introducing the 2 national referees officiating this match. Our first referee is Ryan Vincent Corpus. Second referee, Francis Rapago. Starters first for the NXLED Chameleons. Outside spiker number 3, EJ Carino. Opposite hitter number 8, Myla Pablo. Middle blocker number 11, Jackie Acuna. Another middle blocker number 13, MJ Phillips. Outside spiker number 20, Jonas Abete Escamillan. And center number 22, Jel Cayuna. Starting libero number 1, Ben Pineda. The head coach for NXLED is Ettore Guitetti. And now the starters for the Capital1 Solar Spikers. Middle blocker number 12, Casey Caldones. Opposite hitter number 16, Sid Niegos. Setter number 18, Chacha Maraginort. Outside spiker number 21, Isa Jimenez. Another outside hitter number 23, Shaya Adurador. And middle blocker number 24, Cherry Nunag. Starting libero number 14, Ted Pepito. The head coach for Capital1 is Jorge Souza de Brito. This match is held under the supervision and regulation of the Games and Amusements.
All right, here are the starters for the NXLED Chameleons. Carino, Sabete, Cayuna, Acuna, Phillips, Pablo, and Bang Pineda as their libero. Meanwhile, for the other side, for the Capital1 Solar Spikers, we mentioned that most of their attackers, or at least their starters, won't be here as they are training with Las Pilipinas preparing for the CV Cup. And now we have the lineup for the Capital1 Solar Spikers: Jimenez, Adorador, Maraginot, Galdones, Nunag, Niegos, and Pepito, who drew a lot of cheers when she came on. So people are excited to see her play her first match in the pros. And we are about to begin set 1. Neil for NXLED, they're trying to bounce back after their opening game loss. Meanwhile, for Capital1, new players. Coach Jorge still at the helm of this, but what are your expectations for the Soul Spikers?
Well, for Capital1, we know that a couple of their members are part of the national team, so we won't be seeing Bella Belen, Danny Gandler, and Erica Santos, and these are the 3 main guns of Capital1. So it is going to be a challenge for the youngsters. I'm happy to see Jaja Maraganot back in a volleyball uniform. And as for the NXLED Chameleons, just by looking at their initial starting unit, all positions are covered. I would put them definitely in the upper half of the standings just by looking at their roster. This is a champion team na contender talaga. So they do have to bounce back after that loss against the Gold Smashers.
And first point for NXLED on the board after the attack from Jonas Abete Escamillan, who will now serve. We talked about her pre-game. Her numbers, she had 11 points against Creamline, had 4 blocks as well, and those 11 digs were incredible as well for her. We also know Brooke Van Sickle, as mentioned, nursing That shoulder injury. Although we heard from her before the start of the match how she feels being back in Ilocos, having roots right here, and this time a block coming from Myla Pablo.
Solid wall set up by NXLED to start off the first set.
2-0 start. Set up and another rejection for the Chameleons. Back-to-back blocks.
At this point, they're not even guarding the middle blockers of the Solar Spikers. It was a bit obvious that the set was going to be tossed to the left side. Coverage wasn't there for Capital1. This is also the time for the coaches to actually experiment on the different combinations. I know they do that in training, but it's very different when you're playing in an actual game in the PVL. So they have that luxury dahil all to play din tayo dito sa on-tour.
Dapat by the end of set 2, all of the players in the roster must have played. And there's also a rule there na at least 3 rallies, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see most of their players later on. Meantime, MJ Phillips, after a rejection earlier, gets that point off of the regalo. So 4-0 for NXLED. Back set to Niegos. You see the net defense of NXLED really making it difficult for Capital1 to penetrate. Back low hit, too long. Looks like it's going to be awarded to Capital1.
I think there was a violation called on the NXLED Chameleons,
which they want to challenge.
This is going to be the first challenge of the day. Ball in, ball out challenge from that pipe attack. Galing kay Shai Adordor.
First challenge for the NXLED Chameleons. They want to go 5-0 here to start set 1. Did it pan out? Yes, it did. It's actually long. It will be a successful challenge for the Chameleons. So it's 5 unanswered points now for NXLED.
Hot start for the Chameleons. Capital1 still looking for their first point of the match.
Valdones gets a touch. Able to put Capital1 on the board with their first point.
That's the way to go. You really have to get your middle blockers involved in your offensive pattern if you do want to confuse the middle blockers.
So aside from Pepito, Kai Cepado, the rookies, we'll also be taking a look at Maraginot and how her setting will be for Capital1. That's another point for the Chameleons, back to a 5-point lead here in the first set. Back set to Niegos. Covered by Pepito. We go to the other side. Attack of Adordor was picked up. Play continues. Saved by Carino. The tip by Acuña. So the long rally ended by Niegos on the powerful hit.
Capital1 starting to heat up. They're getting more defensive touches. They're keeping that ball alive, and now they're getting the other attackers involved in that rotation.
That setup coming from Jetnet Pepito. By the way, the change here as the serve goes long. Change here for NXLED in this match. MJ Phillips starting out after coming off the bench in the game against Screenline, where she had 13 points. Replacing Rania Musa. So Jackie Acuña is the starter in this match. As we know, Neil, this on tour is a chance for the coaches to mix and match, try to figure out what the rotation could look like in the other tournaments. So after a service error for Capital 1, service ace naman para sa NXLED Chameleons, and it'll take us to this first technical timeout. Alright, we continue on with the match here. And Capital 1 will finally get another point. Slow start for them, but Risha Genesis adds to their total.
We will see a lot of substitutions throughout this game. That's the thing I like about the on-tour. You get to see all of the players talaga get playing time. And that's sometimes the concern of other players pagdating sa regular season natin. They don't get as much playing time kasi mas less yung margin when it comes to trying out different rotations.
Nice tip from the Chameleons. Oh, you're right. For these players, it's a chance for them to gain confidence, especially for the rookies who will be given multiple chances to suit up because of our all-to-play rule.
And confidence is just one side of the coin. I think more than anything else, they have to be able to show the reliability na pwede na lang maitulong sa actual game.
Jackie Acuna, one-on-one against Luna, again able to score.
That will be the first point of Jackie Acuna. I think it was a smart move for NXLED to acquire both Jel Cayuna and Jackie Acuna kasi yung center middle blocking is sa mga pinakamahirap i-polish na connection compared to wings spikers that you can just play around with the height of the ball. But when it comes to middle blockers, you have to be as precise as possible.
Because of their chemistry, the previous team has Jules Filipino now. The one setting up. But first, Capital 1 with another point in Diegos. You saw one of her performances in the All-Filipino this year. Ganda yung pinakita niya nung nag-player of the game siya. This is a time for her to step up again. Fernandez's attack was picked up. The transfer to the other side to Genesis. Pineda, high up. Trisha once more. Tapped up by Carino. Fernandez. That'll do it. Finding an opening.
Smart push. Fernandez. Hindi rin siya nakakuha masyado ng space to go for a strong swing. He went for that screen behind the double block of Capital 1. Double sub. Coach Petro.
Kapalik sa loob si Jel Cayuna. Naila Pablo. Still a comfortable lead here for NXLED in the first set. 11 serving 5. First ball hasn't been the best for Capital 1, but they will make do with that.
Aside from the usual sets that you've seen sa mga out of system, I noticed na mas sinusubukan ng Capital 1 to go for their back row enters. We've seen a couple of back row hits already from Cidniegos, Isa Jimenez. Ini-involve na nila yung back row nila when it comes to transition offense.
There's a good dig from Duramal. Although the attack of Capital 1 was also saved. It's a good exchange. Way pa. Jonah popped up by Maraginot. Roma guides it towards Niegos. And it'll drop. That's a point for the Solar Spikers. Back to back to cut the lead down. Jaja Maraginot will now serve 7-11. Oh, Kahuna just going back to MJ Phillips after the first ball.
Kuwang-kuwa ni Angel Kahuna yung preferred sets ni MJ Phillips. And she was the one who got that first ball. Then she immediately transitioned to offense.
Genesis has been getting the looks here. Got that incident scored. Oh, solid block.
That's their third kill block already here in the first set.
And Capital 1 will call for time.
More aggressive only on the service. We need to serve better. That's all. You got my point, CD. The ball was short. You came from outside. Drop again. Start again. We have the block there. That's fine. So the guys have the chance to single block.
Timeout called by the Solar Spikers as they trail by 6 points in the first set. Pinto and Duramal in and out of the lineup, exchanging roles here. So far, so good for the NXLED Chameleons. Maraginot. Easy pickings, and MJ Phillips goes for it. She's been efficient so far to start this match.
Compared to Capital 1, mas na-maximize ng NXLED yung middle blockers nila kasi yung pasa din hindi nabibitin. There have been times na hindi umaabot eksakto sa setter's box yung pass ng Capital 1. Kaya paminsan nahihirapan din si Jaja Martinez to give sense to the middles. 8-point lead for the Chameleons of that service ace of Sabetes Camillan by Christian Genesis.
Very different as to how they played their first set against Streamline last time out, where they trailed. This time they are dictating how this game is going in a 9-point lead, which will take us to this technical timeout.
You're still watching the PVL on tour, and we are right here in the heart of Vigan City. Well, one of the players welcomed by a thundering applause here inside the Chameleons Coliseum is none other than the second pick of the PVL draft, and that is Det Pepito. Ahead of this match, Det told me she's nervous, knowing how this moment has been a long time coming. But at the same time, she's excited, sharing how well she fits into the team and how much her ates helped her out. What adds to the excitement is how she's wearing the number 14 for the first time, having worn number 4 her entire career. Well, while number 4 is already taken by her good friend and teammate Bella Belen, Bet says number 14 offers a fresh start to a new chapter. And as we are witnessing her first minutes here in the pros, truly enough, it's a new chapter for Det Pepino here in the pros. Neil.
Thanks a lot, Jana, for that report. Det Pepino, as Jana mentioned, is nervous and makes so much sense because you're playing your first game in the professional league. It's a different atmosphere now, and especially nasa on tour ka rin, iba rin yung pakiramdam na you're playing in an unfamiliar territory.
It's very normal for rookies, and again, ibang level of competitiveness in PVL right now. It's very different from collegiate volleyball. So, it will take a few games siguro before she really warms up to the new environment.
We also heard the story about her jersey number. Si Belen sa number 4, so she will give way. Dagdag ng number 1. It's now an 11-point lead for Chameleons. A miracle for Capital 1 to get this first set. They will call their final timeout as we listen in.
Okay? So the guys who talk, lots of talk, communication there is the must, okay? Let's back again, and now we start the match, okay? One side out and back to hard on the service. Come on, get in there.
Timeout called by the Capital1 Solar Spikers. Jasmine Nabor will be their setter after the break. Let's see how they will respond after that huddle. But what has led to this steal? I mean, for Capital 1 to trail by this much in the first set.
In this first set, I feel like they're just struggling in the passing department. In the next set, they're using their service as their first point of attack. And hindi masyadong nagagamit talaga lahat ng Capital 1. Not just dun sa first pass, even dun sa transition defense, medyo nahihirapan i-control ng Capital 1 yung mga bola nila. That's a good sign. Trisha Genesis scoring 1 for Capital 1.
She's been a spark plug off the bench, scoring multiple points for Capital 1. Oh, Lian de Guzman finding a way to score.
Capital 1 wasn't able to pick that ball up. That was probably the easiest ball given up by the Chameleons here in the first frame, but they weren't ready.
From her teammate Roma Doromal. Could not get there on time. So I believe the premier point has been activated. This will be for 2 points. De Guzman. Nabor goes back row. Phillips gets to it. Ooh, and that will not go over for De Guzman. And it comes out the point. Those 2 points will go to Capital 1.
Must be for the Solar Spikers. They will get it to the double-digit mark at 10. They're still down by 9, so they badly needed that premier point.
And they want to capitalize on that. They too. They just used their premier point. Yeah. I think they have activated it as well. Ooh, but sent back. Binawi lang ng NXLED.
That's a 2 points back of that kill block. Blocking has been rock solid for the Chameleons.
Back to 11. That'll go for Gaston.
Saw that ball come. It was just a step too late for the pickup. Napabagal na ni Lian Division yung bola. Looked like she hesitated last second. She was looking at Bang Pineda.
I saw the reaction. She knew where to go. But still, this is a 10-point lead, and they're only 4 points away from getting set 1. Valentino tosses it to De Guzman. A strong spike from Lian De Guzman. Just last year, she had her debut in the PVL on tour as well for NXLED.
Not a rookie anymore. Now you can feel the depth of the bench of NXLED. Kahit sinong bunutin mo, pupuntos for Coach Ettore.
4th overall pick. Lian De Guzman, Jasmine Nabor, we know she's capable of that. Her and Cayuna are actually scoring setters.
So very aggressive at the net. They don't do it all the time, pero pag dumikit yung bola na yan, you can expect a strong hit from the veteran centers.
Guzman with the serve. Petito to Adorador. That'll go.
From Chaya Adorador. She saw the hands of the blockers right there. Back on tower and got the point for Capital 1.
Oh, that is it.
Back-to-back points for Chaya Adorador.
Way inside for Adorador, actually. But they need a lot more than that. Still a double-digit margin here. Valentino looks at the options, goes to Acuna. Unak was ready. Came up short for Jackie. For NXLED, you don't want to relax at this point just because you're up by this much. Very good serve. Easy over. Gaston gets it. Nabor. Go fast to Genesis. The slide by Nunag off the block. And out.
4 or 5 consecutive points already for Capital 1. Now they're putting more pressure on the receivers of NXLED.
Timeouts. Coach Ettore Guidetti. Lead down to 8.
Here we go. Hey, guys, it's over, eh? The game is not finished. We need 2 points. We have to work hard. Gotcha. Here we go. Oh.
Quick instructions from Coach Ettore. Did not use the full minute of that timeout for NXLED. So just wanting to stop the momentum of the Solar Spikers, who have scored consecutive points. Back with Capital1. Let's see what they do here. That one is a point from Jimenez, who started this game out.
Serving run for Shaya Adorador continues. So Jimenez just attacking the seam of the double block, the Chameleons. In that timeout, Coach Ettore just reminded the girls that we're almost there. You have to keep the intensity up. Sometimes there's that tendency to actually slow down. Pag malapit ka na sa 25-point mark, if you have a big lead, finally they get a side out, courtesy of Fernandez. They arrive at set point.
Nagsisimula rin kanina sa serve ni Adorador. The first ball of NXLED was not as steady. That's why Capital1 were able to score 4 straight points. But now, NXLED arrives at set point. And Jimenez breaks the block.
Not afraid to challenge the double block. Makaslang was already there, but she still found that small crack in that wall. Now, Kai Cepada make her first appearance as a Solar Spiker.
Former UE Lady Warrior, 9th overall pick in this year's PVL draft. Back with the white shirts, Tolentino. Transfers to the opposite. Then an emphatic kill from Joe Fernandez. Will get the first set for the Chameleons. It was nice. Perfect setup by Jules Tolentino, and Fernandez takes care of business. 25-17, NXLED up by a set. We'll be back after the break. Back here for our coverage of the PVL on tour in Vigan City, Ilocos Sur. NXLED Chameleons taking the first set 25-17. We'll take a look at the highlights and what happened there. As you mentioned, slow start for Capital1, and MJ Phillips was able to score multiple points sa simula pa lang. But for NXLED naman, ano yung gumana, Neil? Kaya na nakuha yung first set.
Well, it started out with a solid blocking pattern of NXLED. They got 3 to 4 kill blocks already, I think, in the first half of that set. They put pressure on the receivers of Capital1, pero for the Solar Spikers naman, nung medyo nawala na yung nerves, they were able to get consecutive points as well in that tail end of that set. Attacking is not a problem for Capital1, even if hindi nila masyadong na-involve yung middle blockers nila. They were still able to convert 12 points off their offense, but the biggest difference would be in the blocking department. 6 kill blocks for the NXLED Chameleons, so they really have to put emphasis on their floor coverage if they want to keep that ball alive, because there were a couple of instances in set number 1 na pinapanood lang ng Capital1 bumagsak yung bola And with a blocking team like NXLED, hindi pwedeng mangyari. And you have to keep on attacking their defense.
Yeah.
Because every time they see a crack in that wall, pupuntos naman. They were able to put pressure also dun sa receivers ng NXLED, but it was just too late of a run for them.
Good. For NXLED, noticeable na mas maganda yung galaw nila to start this match as compared to the first outing where they faced Greenline. They got a set against the Cool Smashers, eventually losing that in 4 sets. But for this one, they look more polished to begin the match against Capital1, especially Jel Cayuna, because kumbaga na shrug off na rin niya yung nerves sa pagsali sa bagong team with NXLED. I'm sure she's gotten more comfortable after a couple of weeks practicing with the Chameleons. We also saw Ira Haboneta had a great first game for Chameleons. So let's see what happens here in the second set. Once again, thank you for joining us on One Spritz, on the Pilipinas Live app, and on the One Sports YouTube channel. Dip Tipiaco with Neil Flores covering the match at the Chavit Coliseum in Vigan City, Ilocos Sur. First match pa lamang because we have another 1-1 tonight. That's how you want to start if you're Capital1.
That's the way to go. A fast, be quick setup from Jazz Nabor to Ezra Madrigal. Just leaving her with a single blocker. Kai Cepada is in the starting unit for Capital1. Haboneta will also be the starting libero for the NXLED Chameleons.
Haboneta will bring it to Jonas Sabete Escamillan.
Perfect executed play there for NXLED. It was even an out-of-system play. Haboneta to Sabete Escamillan.
Pepito goes to the right side. Capital1 unable to score. Myla Pablo will get that for NXLED.
Loving the sets of Jel Cayuna so far. As an opposite hitter, all you need to do is hit that ball. Capital1, I think, is trying out a different position for Pauline Gaston. She's an opposite hitter right now.
Right.
She can play middle, she can play right wing.
That's one thing that Coach Jorge, I'm sure, is trying to figure out, at least in this on tour. Nga nasabi natin, nabanggit natin na Bella Belen, Erica Santos, Vanny Gander will not be suiting up in this tournament because of Alas Pilipinas duties. So Capital1 forced to get their players try out other positions. That one is an attack error, so Capital1 is ahead.
That's how you want to start the set. It is hard to come back from a 10-point, 11-point deficit.
Set back by Shaya Adorador.
That reverse set from Cayuna was just too close to the net. And Pablo couldn't do anything about it.
Gaston again to serve. Jel will bring it to the outside. Permentilla is now in the game, gets that ball. And they send it, the high one for Capital1. Play on. Shaya attacks.
He finds the line. Getting past the double block of NXLED. Now they're up by 3.
Turning things around feel like that last push towards the end of set 1 gave them that momentum to start well in the second set.
There's a challenge from the Chameleons. It's a block touch challenge.
In the game for NXLED is Kiana Permentilla, Krichmax Lang is also there. But the starters of NXLED have continued to lead the way for them, along with their rookie 5th overall pick, Ira Haboneta. So there was a block touch, which means the challenge is unsuccessful for Coach Ettore. That's a point. Courtesy of Naina Pablo.
Two-point lead is not safe against NXLED, so you have to keep on going.
Makas Lang on deck to serve. Cayuna. The attack by Acuna was picked up. That was there. Oh, what a save by Makaslang. Same with Cepada, Nabor. And a block there for Kiara Permentilla.
Solo block against that slide attack of Galdones.
Good read. Unable to score on the offense, but does it on the defensive side. So it's back-to-back points for NXLED to cut the lead down to a single point. Toss by Nabor. The connection with Nabor.
Continuously challenging that double block of the NXLED Chameleons. That's another point for Shaya Adorador.
Back to a 2-point lead for the Solar Spikers. Gel goes to the opposite. Dug by Doromal. Permentilla gets the score.
Ganda din ng spread ng points for the Chameleons. It's not just Sabetes, Camillan, and Myla Pablo scoring. Kiara Permentilla is joining the scoring picture. I believe that's her second point already.
Back set. Then Galdones gets it through. You see them going back to that attack. They want to practice that with Casey Galdones.
And they just want to split the blockers of NXLED. Nauhuli naman ni Jazz Nabor. They're disguising that so well. Kaya nauhuli si Jackie Acuna for the follow-up.
Ejected. And that won't go over for Jonah. Capital One with a 3-point lead. We'll go to the first technical timeout.
The Capital1 Solar Spikers lead the NXLED Chameleons by 3 points. Here in set number 2 as the PVL drops by Vegan for PVL on tour. And while this tournament introduces us to many new faces, some of our veterans even wear some new colors. And for Jackie Acuna, these new colors, she's slowly embracing that neon little by little as she considers this time as an adjusting period. Looking back at her first game as a Chameleon against Creamline, Jackie says she's lucky to have had that game, slowly learning how the team plays in competition. She adds that there's still lots to learn, especially on the tendencies of her teammates, but with a setter like Yuna who made this shift with her, there's no problem at all. With how she's performing with NXLED from her first outing to this one, Jackie truly has lots to offer as one of the latest Chameleons. Dipanil.
Thanks, Jana, for that report. Well, for Jackie Acuna, I remember clearly how she felt after that All-Filipino conference this year. She was very vulnerable, honest with her feelings. Yung pinagsamahan nila back in Signal, and then losing that championship for her, yung samahan talaga yung what she was emotional about. But it's part of the growth, you know, going to another team, being with new teammates, starting a new system, and she will only get better as a player here in the PVL. That's a point for the Chameleons. Sent back by Fernandez and Acuna.
Blocks just keep on coming for the Chameleons.
Oh, but a service error for NXLED. So Capital1 still with some breather here in the second set. Tolentino goes to Acuna. Haboneta. Fernandez. Was there a block touch? So it was called out initially, but a challenge for NXLED asking for a block touch.
Inamin na ng Capital1 that there was a block touch, so the point will go to NXLED.
'79. Chance for the white shirts. Tolentino goes to the middle. Nabor back set. Gaston high enough for Fernandez to save it from behind. Finding the donut hole, Kiara Permentilia.
Right in the middle of the defense of Capital1. Everybody just watched that ball drop. Nobody even moved. Walang attempt from any of the players of Capital1.
1 point game. Jackie Acuna with a serve. Oh, putting some spin on that guy, Cepeda.
It's officially her first point in the PVL.
And she heads to the service line for the Solar Spikers. to 8. Add to Alter. Kai again. That explosive approach, but that one goes out for Cepeda.
Lead is down to 1. Here comes the double sub of Coach Ettore. Alexi by Pablo and Yuna. Just down by 1.
Now that was a good stint for Jules Tolentino and Permentilia. It's a 1-point lead still for Capital One. Nabor. That's a nice hit from the middle.
At siguro yung pinakamalaking difference here in the second set compared to that first one, we're seeing more activity from the middle. Those big wicks and yung mga slide attacks ni Casey Galdones. Laking tulong for Capital One. That's why they were able to establish this 2-point lead, make that a 1-point lead because of that service error of Madrigal.
Yeah. NXLED just knocking on the door here, making it difficult for Capital One to pull away. But a much better set, obviously, for the Solar Spikers. Premier point once again for the Chameleons. Earlier in the first set, both teams used their premier point. Nakuha nila yung premier point ng isa't isa. Tignan natin how this will play out. Oh! That one was called inside for Myla Pablo. And so, with those 2 points, NXLED will take the lead over Capital One.
Ang bilis. Also have to know when to use the premier point. Before we continue, there's a challenge on the floor from the Solar Spikers.
Ball in or ball out. Capital One believes that it might have gone out, the attack of Myla Pablo. Oh, but that caught the line. Unsuccessful challenge for Coach Jorge. And the lead will officially be with the Chameleons, 12-11. It's a bit tight. What a dig by Haboneta.
Good pickup from the libero.
Jonah with the extension. Back with NXLED, Permentilla. Picked up by Pepito. Cepada, that's too high. Ira tosses on to Myla Pablo, but that time it was out. So same angle but different result for Pablo.
They tie things up at 12. Meron pang premier point yung Capital One that they can use. Double sub now. Niegos and Marganot will check in.
An extended rest for Maraginot as Nabor took over, but now Jaja is back for Capital One. One of Capital One's new signings or new players in the on tour. And premier point din. Gagamitin ngayon ng Capital One. One-hand set by Jel Cayuna. And Critch Makaslang celebrates because that one was worth 2 points.
Lalo na pag one-hand set, mapapaisip talaga yung middle blocker, nasabayan yung setter, and it happened in that last play. Coaches would and teammates would always remind the middle blockers, wag mong sasabayan yung setter. You always have to guard the middle blocker of the opposing team.
Adoke Ogunsanya in the game for the first time. Det brings it to Adorador. This will be a chance, but Permentilla couldn't send it across. This is only a 1-point game in set 2. Cayuna, back set. That one a bit low, but Myla Pablo able to score off the block.
She has embraced that role as an opposite hitter. Mas konti din yung responsibilities ni Myla. All she needs to do is score and defend the net. Wala na yung receiving load. Wala na masyadong load when it comes to the back row also.
Ooh, buhay pa. What a save. Boneta with the effort, but Galdones on the second try won't be denied, or NXLED won't be able to send that back.
It's probably the cleanest hit. Best hit so far of Casey Galdones in this match.
Kiara. Ooh. Two players hesitating. And NXLED, all of a sudden, are ahead. They will take us to the second technical timeout. Back here for a coverage of the PVL on tour. Adorador and Galdones caught ball watching, or at least looking at each other. Tingnan nila sino yung kukuha ng bola.
Diyan mo makikita how important communication is. General rule, we always play right, but in that case, it was right in the middle of the two defenders. So kung sino na lang umako ng bola, sino nag-commit sa bola, they have to follow through.
Tolentino is back on the floor for NXLED. Again, we started set 2 with Capital 1 leading the way. But it has changed midway the second set. The send over. Ooh! Miscommunication on the part of the Chameleons.
There was a combination play planned by Jules Tolentino, pero mukhang nakalimutan ng attackers niya. Nobody was there. It was supposed to be a combination play in the middle. Pagkakaintindi siguro ng attackers, but the set was a reverse set to the right side.
Heading straight to our first referee, Ryan Corpus. Nobody else there to attack. And because of that, Capital 1 capitalizing. They've scored 2 straight. Tied at 16. Better ball this time. But ball slowed down. Maraginot goes behind. Some hang time. Fernandez with a wind-up. Play on. Niegos. Back to Fernandez. And Joe will score.
They get a slim 1-point lead here in the tail end of set number 2. Attacking the block of Madrigal as she was a bit late for the close-up.
Gonzania serving 17-16. Jaja on the setup to Madrigal. Play continues. Sabete Escamillan dug by Shaya.
Catch and throw will be called on Kai Cepada.
That's the first time we've heard that violation today. Although in previous contests, they have been very strict. But looks like the players have also adjusted na rin sa tawagan na yan. Usually we'd get that from the middle lockers. That is inside.
That's more like it from Kai Cepada. She's been trying to go for off-speed hits, mga drop ball, power tips. She can just directly go for a hard swing.
Easy ball for the yellow shirts. Jonah. Good pickup from Cepada. A push. And still alive. Back with Capital One. Jazz goes to Gaston. Excellent exchange. This is a long rally alert. Sabetes Chameleons blocked. Haboneta with the coverage. Back and forth we go. For Fernandez. And boy pa. This is the longest rally of the match, and it ends.
From the wind-up pa lang, kitang-kita na yung intention ni Sabete Escamillan. She just wanted to get that off the hands of the blockers. That was a long rally. Probably the longest that we've seen in this entire match.
You have to applaud the effort of both teams. And their floor defense really going after that ball. Eventually, Jonas Sabete Escamillan ending that with a point for NXLED. And Capital One will call a timeout.
Look, hey, you're going too much inside to get the ball. Wait already here to make the, because they shooting. All the transition they had, but they shooting. You don't come inside, not block, not MEB anymore. You're here. And she was there waiting for the ball, and they shooting. So just stay in front. You help in the middle, but you're get the line only. Stay there, okay? Come on. Go.
Let's go. Capital! One! Ate, sunod na sa
Coach Jorge De Brito calling a timeout. His team down by 2 points. Going down the line. There's also a touch, another point for Myla Pablo.
Now a 3-point lead for the Chameleons, looking to close out Capital One in set number 2. And it's Jel Cayuna on deck to serve. He is one of the strongest servers of the league. Hindi mo siya pwedeng tambayin dyan sa service line.
They are 5 points away. Pablo wanting to do the same, but this time it goes out. Still, only a 2-point lead for NXLED. Cayuna. Jonah. Oh, Galdones. That is 2 touches for her.
Unfortunate error there from Capital One. I noticed that here in the second set, mas nakakasabay yung Capital One, but they've given away a lot of small balls to NXLED. All of those minor errors, when you add them all up, dun mo makikita na marami na din yung puntos na sana nila pero na ibibigay sa Chameleons.
Aboneta again with a save. At that point will go to the Solar Spikers.
It looks like she's very comfortable in the libero position.
Yeah.
Before she graduated in the UAAP, yan din naman yung pinalaro sa kanya sa UP. So I guess walang masyadong adjustments on her end.
I remember we covered that game when she was used as a libero for the first time para sa UP. And they beat NU in 5 sets. That was round 1 of the previous season. And now she has embraced that role. Definitely a luxury for NXLED to have her. De Guzman. Nakuha ni Cepeda. Nabor goes to Adorador. Still alive. Jazz. Gel will bring it to the right side. Myla Pablo again. Their scoring prowess.
She's currently the top scorer for the NXLED Chameleons. Very consistent. Set number 1 here in set number 2. Kai Cepeda couldn't keep that ball alive. NXLED is almost there. She's 3 points away from getting a 2-sets-to-love lead.
After trailing, simula ng set 2. Off the block and out.
Good adjustment from Shaya Adorador. There are passes from Capital One na hindi talaga kayang iset to the middle. That last receive was an example of that. The board just had one option left, and that was to push that ball to the left side. So for the outside hitters of Capital One, they have to think quickly kung anong diskarte gagawin nila, because most of the time, the double block is already set up from the end of the NXLED Chameleons. And they can't afford to give away any more free points because NXLED is 2 points away.
Overpass. Lucky break for Capital One as they have the ball back. Galdones.
Net fault will be called on Ogunsanya.
Galdones will be replaced. And in the game is April Tapia. But first, a timeout for the Chameleons.
Here we go, guys. One ball. We play simple like this. Rotation. They don't expect you to team. We didn't team a single time. Here we go, guys. So.
Another quick timeout for Coach Ettore Guidetti. His team are 2 points away from getting a 2-set lead over Capital One. Gel with a 1-2. Almost catching the defense off guard. Gaston able to save it. Cepeda attacks. Cayuna sets up the Guzman. It is out.
Is there a check ball from Capital One? NXLED will challenge that call from the first referee. Umamin na. From Capital One, there was a blocked touch.
And that will put NXLED at set point. Three set points for NXLED. And it's in the hands of Lian Guzman, who is now a sophomore. if that is still applicable in the pros now. Second year. Ang bilis din, no? Just imagine last year she was playing as a rookie for the Chameleons. And
She
now,
has adjusted so well.
ang ganda rin na pinakita niya on tour in 2025. Cepada, one of Capital 1's rookies. Want to follow the footsteps of Riza Nogales, who was also a former Lady Warrior. Picked late in that draft class, but already awarded as the best middle blocker here in the PVL. What a story for her. You just don't count out these underdogs, those players who have not really experienced a lot of wins in college, but pagdating sa pros, iba na yung kanilang careers. And I believe all players, they're checking if all players have played for both squads.
They're checking all the substitutions made by both teams.
Because again, all to play, dapat by the end of set 2, lahat ng players for both teams have already suited up. Referee Erlindo Eusebio just clarifying things with the Solar Spikers.
First referee, the second referee rather, is fixing the rotation of Capital 1.
Yun lang yung medyo tricky part if you have this rule wherein everyone has to play and you can also sub in as many times, diba? The rotation has to be fixed before we resume. And so the whistle has been blown. Set point for NXLED. Cepada attacks and will score. That's a set point save for Capital 1.
You know that she is a power hitter, so she just really needs that confidence, because I feel like sometimes nag-hesitate pa eh. Medyo nag-iingat ba, but when she realizes that yung power alone and the speed of her hits can actually score points, malilesen yung mga power tips, pero yung puntos na yun may bibigay pa sa Capital 1, catch and throw, violation will be called on Gel. You know, we're very particular with that type of hit kasi nag-iba na rin yung rules sa volleyball.
We've seen it in the international scene. As we said, middle blockers usually, pero nakita natin yan kanina kay Cepada and now from a setter in Gel Cayuna. So NXLED will call for a timeout. Their lead down to just 1.
Here we go. One side out. Hey, now we work hard with the coverage, and we don't try to finish the game at the first attempt. Quiet, quiet. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Okay.
Resume play here. Jasmine Nabor is ready to serve for the Solar Spikers. They have saved 2 set points. Can they get another one? Or will NXLED get the job done here in set 2? It's kept alive. Cepada will send it over. Cayuna will set up the play. And Jonah goes long, but there's a block touch. And the point will go to the Chameleons. so they will finish this one off in set 2. Yeah, clearly no contention. And the Chameleons are up 2-0. We'll be back after the break. Back here inside the Capital Coliseum in Vigan City, Ilocos Sur for your PVL 2026 on tour. And a much closer set between the two teams. But in the end, the Chameleons still got it 25-23. What a long set that was. 39 minutes of play, Neil. As we take a look at the highlights, what did you see from both camps in that one?
I just want to backtrack first dun sa last point ng set number 2. Capital1 gave up a free ball to NXLED, and yung mga situations na ganyan, even if it's not a strong attack, you have to try your best to at least deliver an attack na may spin, or you have to target a certain area. But in that case, it was just really a bump, free bump to NXLED. And in set number 2, lumayo na yung Chameleons, 18 attacks compared to the 10 of Capital1. Yun nga lang, ang dami rin nung unforced errors.
Yeah.
13. So that's a stat line na ayaw mong makitang mataas. Anywhere near the number 10, medyo red flag na yan. But kahit pa paano, nakadikit pa rin naman yung Capital1. So they still have a chance to extend this match. They have to start off strong again here in set number 3 because yung comeback capability ng NXLED, malalim and then they can really erase that lead built by the Solar Spikers. I think that in set number 3, if Capital1 wants to extend this match, babalik pa rin ako dun sa point ko ng set number 1, they need more activity in the middle because it worked. Those B quicks, those slide attacks. So babalik tayo dun sa passing consistency din ng Capital1. If you really want to maximize the presence of your middle blockers, it all starts with that first pass. And there were times na off din yung Capital1. They just have to be aware also of the small ball being given up. NXLED had their fair share of errors also in set number 2. But again, yung options lang talaga nila Jel Cayuna and Jules Valentina when it comes to attacking, sobrang dami. Everybody chipped in set number 2. The contributions were well distributed. I would say hindi man in numbers dun sa atake, but the defensive touches of the other players were good support already in itself.
If you're Capital One, as Neil mentioned, you can't be too sure of your lead, no? Because of the comeback capabilities of NXLED Chameleons with so many weapons on their side. Meanwhile, for the Solar Spikers, again, missing their starters in Bella Belen and their new signings in Vanny Gandler, Erica Santos, who are all committed to Alas Pilipinas. But that's no excuse for them. They want to give their fight here against the Chameleons. But it's a tough task. A tall one with MJ Phillips there. Myla Pablo, who has been playing well in this match. And the stellar setting, of course, of Jel Cayuna. But let's see, set 3. Ito na yung set na you won't see a lot of changes maybe because they've done their rotations in the first 2 sets. That all to play has passed. And maybe the coaches will now stick with their main gunners dito sa 3rd set. As we welcome all our viewers, to those who just tuned in on One Sports YouTube channel and on the Pilipinas Live app. Dip yan po with Neil Flores. And we start off with that big block.
That's how they started this match. And they do want to end it in that manner as well. Total rejection from Zabete Escamillan against Sid Niegos. First match ni Zabete Escamillan was an all-around performance. We said that in the pregame. And it's the same here in this game against Capital One. Across all skill departments, meron siyang contributions.
Yeah. 11 digs nga against Streamline. Picking up from where she left off in that match a couple of weeks ago. Scrambling on the side of Capital One, but Niegos able to score.
That's the right call from Sid Niegos. When the set is already close to the net, when you're attacking from the right side, the easiest way to go about it is to push that ball dun sa kami ng blockers near the antenna.
That one works for Lian de Guzman. Phillips, good serve. Pepito gives up a high free ball. Cayuna goes to the middle. Well, why not? Ogunsanya was ready to pounce.
As we mentioned, Jel Cayuna will really bring out the best in her attackers. Early lead for the Chameleons.
3-1. Jazz to Madrigal. Papawi ang gitna ng Capital One.
Lumalamang din yung Capital One or dumidikit pag nabibigyan ng bola yung gitna. That's what we observed so far.
They've turned to Ezra Madrigal, Casey Galdona sa lot. Dito sa larong ito.
Tied at 3 after that first error. Maduke Ogunsanya.
All. Jel. Ooh. Good intention. Just went wide for Lian de Guzman. Nilipat sa kanan. Niegos. Back with Capital One. Shy attacks. Comes up short.
The intention was there. She wanted to go sharp on the cross. She wasn't in the best position to do that.
Another deadlock here in the 3rd set. Pablo with a serve. Nabor Goes to Galdones, popped up by Sabete Escamillan. As we said, all-around player for NXLED. Cepada from behind, flies in. And will go to the other side to apologize.
Bullet from the rookie.
Ito ba yung hinihintay niyo, sabi niya?
Hindi na rin nakareact si Myla Pablo sa sobrang bilis nung palo from the back row.
And again, showing us her bending mid-air. That's where the power comes from. But Lienda Guzman just steady here for the Chameleons.
Huge space between the blockers of Capital One.
Galdones. That will go back and a point for NXLED.
Another block point for Sabete Escamillan. Has been reading those slide attacks so well here in this game.
Nabor. D-ball for Niegos will clip the net and eventually drop. Gapang tayo dito sa third set because it's been really close back and forth. Tied at 6. Too long. And lead swings to Capital One.
This is the time for NXLED na dapat talagang tapakan na yung gas because they're up by 2 sets. Capital One still pushing back.
Galdones avoiding an error there. They were able to serve with the right player.
So violation called on Myla Pablo. She stepped on that attack line, so that's an illegal attack.
Should be a point for Capital One. Officials clarifying that point. It was initially called a foot fault, no, attack line fault dun sa side ng NXLED on Myla Pablo. So now they're just checking on the right server for Capital One.
I think the official score should read
8-6
in favor of the Solar Spikers.
Again, for those of you who just tuned in, Capital One missing their starters here for Alas Pilipinas. Para naman sa NXLED, Brooke Vanskill is in the venue but not suited up as she is recovering from that minor right shoulder injury. And our first referee, Ryan Corpus, having a word with Roma Doromal, explaining the situation. We too are trying to figure out what is going on here in this long lull. But definitely this might affect the complexion of this set at least.
I think a team committed a positional fault.
It might be the
Might
part
be
nung
Capital 1 nung nagpalit last
Oo.
minute yung server ng Solar Spikers.
when Casey handed it to Adorador, that might have been the right one. So what they will do is take back the point na nakuha ng Capital 1 doon.
And they will
sa-
fix their rotation first, but a point will be awarded to the Chameleons.
So if you are good at math,
7-7 ata.
while we wait for the official call here, like to just mention that we have another game coming up later on between the PLDT high-speed hitters and the Chocomucha Flying Titans, so do stay tuned for that. This is our third leg of the PVL on tour after stopping by Ilagan last July 8th and then Batangas last July 11. Pagkatapos nito, saan mo pa ba gusto pumunta, Neil, after natong vegan stop natin? Gusto mo ba mapunta sa South Cotabato?
Basta kasama ka.
Sa Polomolok.
I think that's near Jensan.
Yeah. We also will go to City of Santiago and then Lanao del Norte. So, yun ang aabangan ng ating fans.
Alright, so we sorted out yung rotation. The score is 7-6 in favor of the Chameleons, but after that attack point from Sabetes Camillan, it's 8-6 as we enter our technical timeout.
It's the third set of this matchup between the NXLED Chameleons and the Capital1 Solar Spikers as the PVL continues to bring the action here in the city of Vigan. And for the Solar Spikers, Kai Cepada has certainly made quite the impression here in her debut. When I spoke with her at the dugout, she says she tries not to think about how nervous she's feeling today, trying to lean more on the excitement of finally being a pro. Kai took me back to draft night, being pleasantly surprised to be picked by Capital 1 since she wasn't even able to train with them in the first place. She adds that her teammates impart her the mindset na go hard lagi at always at 101%. After what has been more than a month of preparation for Kai, her debut and draft story is surely one for the books. What do you think of Kai Cepada's performance so far, Dipanil?
Well, so far so good. We're loving what we're seeing from Kai Cepada. Thanks Jana for that, especially yung kanina, no, may isa siyang solid spike from the back row. It's nice to see her suited up in the same squad again with Det Pepito, having played together in high school. So let's see how they will be able to get back here, only down by 2 points, make that 3 after the point for NXLED. Again, that long break that we had earlier was due to the wrong server ng Solar Spikers. So they had to backtrack and award the right points for the Chameleons.
If it was the correct server, 8-6 sana in favor of Capital 1, but we had to deduct a point from the Solar Spikers. That fault will be called on MJ Phillips. NXLED is looking for a strong finish. And as for Capital One, they're fighting for survival here in set number 3. They're down by 2.
Cayuna. Phillips. Adorador was there. Maraguinot back to Shaya. Good dig from Haboneta.
That ball already hit the floor before it hit the hands of Shaya Adorador. Just a step behind the ball. So the tandem of Sabete Escamillan and Myla Pablo, they've been doing the most damage offensively.
You also just have to mention again, Ira Haboneta is doing a great job at the back for the Chameleons. Pineda also with a save. Riveros hard at work for NXLED. Cepada's attack was slowed down. Cayuna will go to Pablo.
Ooh. That must have felt good for Myla Pablo.
Solid spike for Myla Pablo.
Down hard.
And now it is a 4-point advantage for NXLED. Cepada was blocked. Pepito was present. Might have hurt herself. Slow to get up. Is holding on to her right leg. What you want to see. And she's still down. Couldn't get up. I think she's cramping up. Although she gives a thumbs up.
The ball was still in play though. Hindi pa tinitigil ng first referee yung rally. So the point will go to the NXLED Chameleons. It's just a case of cramps probably. That Pepito.
See, they didn't even know where to bring that ball back. They just had to send it back. I believe that was Bang Pineda, and because they were one player down, talking about Capital One, nakuha pa rin ng NXLED yung point. Maraguinot. Pablo swings, sent back. Madrigal wants to go for it and gets it.
Still in this game. Hindi pumapatok sa 25 yung puntos ng NXLED. Lalaban pa rin itong Capital One. Sure point from that overpass.
The serve goes out. Back to a 5-point lead for the Chameleons. Attack for Capital One. And Isa Jimenez dismantles the defense.
Jimenez is another powerful hitter from Capital One. Tapia is now in the ball game, hoping to make a difference. I think Shaya Adorador is also cramping up.
This is their first game in the on-tour. Been a while since they saw competitive action, so some getting used to again. Kasama dyan yung factor ng traveling, diba?
Saya ng buhay ni Myla Pablo. Again, perfect setup by Jel Cayuna. She can just choose her angles.
And a service ace delivered by MJ Phillips.
Biggest lead for the Chameleons in the set at 6.
Timeout called by Capital One.
All those three, just control the ball. She's playing us opposite, she's open. But you stay here, not fight. Janice will dig on the middle. Okay? Dig on the middle. You just receive receive the ball first. It's 5 points already given them, okay? Receive again and start. Come on. I want to see that.
Six-point lead for the Chameleons, and the premier point will be played out in this sequence. Capital One badly needs this, but if NXLED does, they will increase the lead further. De Guzman, dug by Genesis. Tapia with an easy ball. Gel. Back to Lian, play on. Maraginot. Genesis from behind, it drops. And once again, the Solar Spikers steal their premier point from NXLED.
+2 on the board for the Solar Spikers. Defense holding up. That drop ball worked well, targeting MJ Phillips. Lead is down to 4. Meron pang premier point ata yung Capital One.
Yeah.
Pwede nilang gamitin.
Gel. Back set. Genesis. The right spot. De Guzman swings. Blocked.
Almost there for Capital One.
3 straight points on 2 sequences for Capital One. Oh, down it goes.
But you can't leave Myla Pablo with a single blocker. She's been having a field day in that right pin, and they will go up 16-12 in our second technical time.
See that one again from Myla Pablo. As Neil put it, saya ba? What is she feeling at this moment because of all the sets of Gel Cayuna?
Walk in the park for Myla Pablo, kasi alam ni Gel Cayuna kung paano niya mabibigyan ng single block si Myla Pablo.
This is a 4-point lead for NXLED. There is still a premier point for Capital One to use up dito sa set 3. Nabor Nunag on the floor. Si Tolentino muna ang magiging setter ng NXLED. Flipping the net. Pineda up to Fernandez. The stretch by Nabor. Niegos on the swing. Too long. Asking for a block touch, is she?
This is going to be a challenge
Or
from
net fault.
Capital One. It's not a block touch challenge. The hit was definitely out. We'll be checking for a net fault.
And an admission on the side of NXLED. (13-16) is our official score. Jules back set to Fernandez. Doromal for the pickup. Back row hit, doesn't work. One more time for Capital One. Kept alive, the swing. Sabete Escamillan couldn't score. Tapia goes up and scores. Lead down to just 2.
That's how you do it, says Tapia. He needed a point na talagang magigising itong Capital One.
She is fired up after that point. How will NXLED respond? Offhand for De Guzman. Chance for the Solar Spikers. It's a soft touch for Jimenez. Will not do it, but the block will. Meet you upstairs, says Cherry Nunag.
Back-to-back points for the Solar Spikers. They clawed their way back. Just down by a single point.
One-point game. Trouble on the first ball. Capital One can tie this one up. Nabor to Tapia. Aboneta picks it up. Tolentino to the middle. Couldn't get the proper set. Scramble for the Chameleons. Tapia attacks. We go on. De Guzman. Dug by Jimenez. Tapia again. And losing steam as she sends that straight into the net.
We still get the stamp of approval from Coach Jorge. Great effort from the Solar Spikers. Masyado lang talaga bumababa yung clearance ng atake ni Tapia in that last rally.
But the Solar Spikers showing life here in the tail end of the third set. Hopefully not too late for them. Free ball. Nabor to Nunag with a blockbuster.
It's their turn to get free balls from the NXLED Chameleons. Pag binigyan ka ng ganun kataas na free ball, you really have to convert. And they do just that off that side attack of Cherry Nunag.
Point lead again. Taas for Sabete Escamillan. What an attack for her. Perfect timing on the approach.
He wants to go home early. He can end this in 3 straight sets.
Look at how high that was.
Just powering through an established double block. And yun pa yung mas reliable double block ng Capital One, the tandem of Nunag and Nabor.
No problem for Jonah. Jimenez flies in. Doromal sets up Niegos. Dug by Ogunsanya. Sabete Escamillan again. Isa on the attack. And it'll go. They were going the other way, but the ball landed in zone 5.
Nag-iba yung direction ng ball when it hit the hands of the blockers of NXLED. Proper footwork is very important if you want to chase after those balls.
NXLED not yet out of the woods. Solar Spikers, they want to tie. Jimenez. Good reflex by Nunag. Madrigal, no. Tolentino again high up to Sabete Escamillan. What a game for Jonah.
It's closing time for Sabete Escamillan. She's in the front row. She's feeling it. She has the hot hands right now. From blocking to attacking. She has done it all for NXLED.
And in comes Jel Cayuna alongside Myla Pablo. 19-17 is the score. Niegos. Nakukuha ni Cayuna. Pablo on the wind-up. Jazz with the chase. And that one will be short for Tapia. The Chameleons will reach the 20-point mark. And Capital One calls for time.
Make it long, it's okay. Dive, rolling. You get the best ball you can. Instead of get wet for the next, there will be the last one. Just get there, and it's fine. Okay? Hey, run fast. Almost. Okay, that's easy. Back again. That's good. Let's go. Pressure there.
Solar Spikers trying to hang on. Chameleons want to end this in straight sets. Cayuna to serve. Good ball from Doromal. And a point for Capital One, courtesy of Isa Jimenez.
Both teams will have 3 attackers in the front row. This is actually the strongest front line for NXLED. They can get an immediate stop in this next rally. Same for Capital One. They have 3 attackers.
Good take from Doromal. Niegos swings. It won't go over. 4 touches, says our officials. And Capital One will challenge for a block touch. All-important challenge at this point of the match. Coach Jorge using up this time to have a word with his players. He is giving these chances to Tapia, Isa Jimenez.
We'll be checking the video footage of that hit from Niegos. Did the blocker touch that ball or did it go straight into the net?
In the previous on-tour edition, Capital One finishing second to the last. They want to better their position this time. And for NXLED, just missing out on the top 4 after it was a good start in the group stage of that. Solar Spikers will have 2 more matches after this. They will play Creamline and Farm Fresh. Meanwhile, as we take a look at the replay here, there was a block touch. So challenge is successful for Capital One. That point will be replayed.
That's correct. Point will be taken back.
Two-point game. Cayuna. Nakuha ni Tapia. Nabor goes to Jimenez. Back and forth. Oh, Jonas Sabete Escamillan.
All power from Sabete Escamillan breaking the block of Capital One. He didn't stand a chance from the wind up palang. And the target, yung right hand.
Niegos. Cayuna was there. Battle at the net. Pancake save by Doromal. We continue. Gel back set off speed. The dive by Tapia. A send over. Cayuna will go to the middle. Kept alive by the Solar Spikers. Met at the net by Phillips. Bodies on the floor. It's a long rally alert. Excellent exchange for both teams. Nobody letting up. Cayuna goes to Pablo. And finally,
Milo Pablo putting an end to that long rally. At this point, Capital 1, dapat na-figure out na nila yung patterns ni Jet. Kaya na every time Myla Pablo is in the front row, 60% of the time she goes to that reverse set. Pinapakagat niya lang yung middle blocker sa gitna. Sinisiksik niya din yung other attackers niya sa left side para mabigyan ng mas malaking space si Myla Pablo.
and you just hate to be the losing team in that point dahil sobrang haba with that all that effort. 4-point lead for the Chameleons. Nabor. Play on. There was a block touch. Jonah, so scrappy. Offense to defense. She's been everywhere. Pineda gets it. Wow. What an effort for NXLED. So hard for Capital 1 to find a point. They are forced to try every option. Doromal picks it up. Jimenez, wala pa rin. How many blocks in this sequence alone? Another excellent rally. The spike from Pablo to Phillips will not work. Niegos will try. And Phillips.
Nabakat yung partner ko.
Somebody save me.
Another long rally between these two teams. That's why for Capital 1 to score off their offense, they need to utilize both speed and power. Kasi aside from the first line of defense, may libero pa sa likuran. And other defenders nabubuhay dun sa bola.
A timeout called here. NXLED up by 5.
Nice. 2 points, 2 points. Calma, Serin, 2 points. Hey, remember, it's only a good idea with them to tip on a perfect set, not to tip with a bad set. Okay? Quiet now. Here we go. Bravo. Go.
Score is 23-18 in favor of NXLED. 2 points away from winning the match in straight sets. Pauline Gaston will check in. EJ Carino will replace Jonas Abete Escamillan, who should get an ovation for her performance today. (23-18). Nabor will set up. Jimenez blocked. It is closing time for NXLED, and they are at match point.
We kind of expected this from the Chameleons. Kung paano nila sinimulan yung game, ganun din nila gustong matapos. Again, yung blocking nila has been spot on. 6 skill blocks in set number 1. 2 in set number 2, and right now I count 3 or 4 in this third frame. 6 match points for NXLED, and that is it. An ace from Laure Carino
to cap off the match. And they celebrate their first win here in the On Tour. That is our Pure Gold Always Panalo play of the set, brought to you by Pure Gold. Sa Pure Gold Always Panalo. 3 players caught ball watching. And EJ says, I'll take it. All smiles on their side as they beat Capital 1 in 3 sets. Convincing victory here for NXLED. From start to finish, they took control. Well, in set 2, they had to come back after a slow start. But in the first and third, it looked like they were well on their way for a victory. We'll take a break before we wrap this one up here in the PVL On Tour.
Welcome back to the PVL On Tour in our stop here in Vigan City. I'm here with one of our Capital 1 Solar Spikers, Sid Niego. Sid, kumusta yung stay nyo sa Vigan dito, especially playing in front of this crowd?
Masaya po kami na nakabalik kami dito. Nagpapasalamat po kami sa dami ng tao na sumuporta, nanood. Medyo hindi pa po kami nakapasyal kasi maulan po. Pero hopefully po, after namin mag-wash up, makapasyal po kami bago kami umuwi sa Manila. Yan.
Alright, thank you very much, Sid. What a game. And of course, may mga gusto ka bang batiin, especially yung mga nandito ngayon?
Naimbag nga rabi, kada kami amin na po! Grabe. Agyaman kami po, nga taga PVL. Kada kayo nga patuloy nga sumusuporta kinyami. Patuloy niyo po kaming suportahan at agsubli kami!
I know the Ilocanos enjoyed that. Thank you very much, Sid Niegos of the Capital 1 Solar Spikers. And right now, I'm here with our player of the game, Myla Pablo of the NXLED Chameleons. With 18 points, coming off of 14 attacks, 3 blocks, and an ace. The Myla, yes po. And of course, bumawi kayo from that creamline game earlier in the tournament. Paano nyo to pinaghandaan moving forward?
Well, nag-enjoy lang kami sa game namin and nakinig lang kami sa mga coaches namin kung ipapagawa sa amin sa loob ng court. And ayun nga, yung training namin the past few days is na-apply namin sa game na to. So, I'm really happy na na-apply namin ngayon.
And kumusta naman yung pag-uusap nyo sa huddles, especially na Capital 1 was really challenging you in those 3 sets?
Well, pag-usapan naman namin sa dugout na i-enjoy lang namin yung game na to and walang pressure. And ayun nga, sabi nga ng coach namin na yung communication namin sa loob ng court, sana ma-apply namin. So ayun nga, hindi kami nagkanya-kanya sa loob ng court.
And now, may mga gusto ka bang batiin ngayon, especially yung crowd natin dito sa Vegan?
Maraming pong salamat sa inyong lahat na nagpunta dito. And alam namin na malayo yung pinuntahan ninyo para makita nyo yung mga inidolo nyo. And sana nag-enjoy kayo. And sana makabalik kami dito ulit sa Ilocos. Ayun, naimbag na nabihikan niya yung amin.
Thank you very much, Myla, and congratulations. Let's wrap it up, Devanil.
Thank you so much, Jana. And there you have it, the NXLED Chameleons getting their first win in the PVL on tour as we take a look at the full match highlights in these 3 sets. Well, dominating win for NXLED here against the Capital1 Solar Spikers. Maybe just to mention the top performers, Neil, for NXLED.
18 points for Myla Pablo. Numbers will speak for itself. Again, dun sa 3 sets, she proved that she was the most reliable player in this match. But we can't forget about the efforts of Sabetes Camillan. Another solid all-around performance. Overall, I think NXLED just played better as a unit compared to Capital1. For Capital1, they put up a challenge but they struggled offensively. There were inconsistencies also in the passing department. We know na malalaki yung names na wala sa kanila ngayon. So now's the time for the other players to actually use the time on the court to develop their skills at this level. 45 attacks for the Chameleons. Biggest output pa rin talaga yung blocking department, 11 compared to the 3 of Capital1. They just had the number of the attackers of Capital1. It was a bit predictable for them, so it was easy for them to set up a lot of double blocks. Unforced errors, both teams had their own share, but yung service game also ng NXLED nakatulong. 5 service aces and marami ring mga receives yung Capital1 na na-take advantage nila.
Yeah, there you have it. First game done. Up next, we have one more to go here in Vegan City, Ilocos Sur. PLDT high-speed hitters will take on the Choco Mucho Flying Titans. So do stay tuned in just a bit here on One Sports, on the Pilipinas Live app, and on the One Sports YouTube channel for more volleyball action. On behalf of my partner Neil Flores, I'm Dip Dipiaco saying thank you for watching the PVL on tour. See you for more volleyball action here on Signal.